Yes, yes, y'all. We're mixing. We're back. Back in action. It's Saturday night. Is it Saturday night already? All right. I'm going to be, if you're here right now or you're watching a replay, it's going to be a treat for you because I got a really dope band that I'm working on, their EP. They're called Maudlin Strangers, and they're really dope, and I really love their music. And I can't say that about every artist that I mix and master, but I really do enjoy their music. So I get to open up this session and show you some really creative shit from the artists, the band, the producer, from my mix perspective, the plugins, everything. All right. So we're going to dive in, probably spend about an hour with you guys here and just ask any questions. I want to answer questions for you guys as well. And instead of going out and doing, whatever the hell I was going to do tonight, I'm going to be mixing pretty much all night. I got a lot of mixes to do, so you guys are in luck. I'm going to live stream as much as I can and hopefully help some people out here. So let's get in. Let's dive right in, shall we? If you're here, say what's up, because I like people. I'm one of those weirdos that actually do like people. I like mean people. I like nice people. I like all sorts of people. What's up, Eric? Hey, man. Appreciate it. Awesome. It's good to see you. Yo, Atlas, back in the house, baby. I love this this picture of you or whatever that is. That's really cool. I like that helmet. Sick. All right, cool. So here's what we got. I'm going to play the song. And you guys, this is the first time this song has ever been played anywhere. Because Jake Hayes, the front man for this band, and also the producer that does a lot of the production, writing, all that stuff. Yeah, I got this session, and it's 116 tracks long, and we got everything broken down, and I'll kind of go through things as I'm working and answer questions and just help y'all out. But this is a dope song, so I'm excited to share it with you. So let's play it.
Look who you are, look in the mirror. Do you really see yourself? Out and inside a luxury rider. Do you even drive yourself? Off of your phone, now you're alone. Are you enjoying yourself? Look who you are, look who you ain't. Can you believe yourself? Didn't think so. Put it on the website, but you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side. Buy yourself a pretty life. Looking alive, beautiful ties. Little lies about yourself. You would say you're carried away, trying to update yourself. Follow the page, click on the likes. Why don't I go fuck myself? Look who you are, look who you ain't. Can you believe yourself? Didn't think so. Put it on the website, but you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side.
Short, punchy, dark, distorted, vibey, aggressive, moody. I don't know. I just try to kind of see the movie, you know what I'm saying? Because this is kind of like a movie. It's like a mini movie. Every time I hear a song, especially a good one, I'm always thinking about like, how do I make this movie come to life, right? This 2-minute movie, this 3-minute movie, and it all needs to be very impactful. Every single thing about the song needs to be locked in. You know, it needs to like feel the way that it feels. I don't know. It's a thing. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get into it though. All right, so Arctic Monkeys for sure. I totally hear that. Absolutely. Dan wanting to get in Logic lately. Yeah, Logic's fun, man. So I work in Logic and Pro Tools, but I've been mixing a lot in Logic. Okay, cool. So let's dive in. So what do we got here? We have a bunch of vocals, which I can kind of hear in parts. They get a little too dark, right? Like you're like, oh, what is he saying? Like what's going on there? So we're going to kind of fix that. But I like to start out with just kind of hearing stuff and listening to what's going on. And I'm going to start by just going to the chorus here. And I'm going to just get the vibe of what's going on with the drums, because there are a shit ton of drums stacked on top of each other. And Jake loves to do this. I don't know if he tries to torture me or what, but there's always like massive amounts of stacks of drums. Okay. And there's live drums, there's sample drums, there's loops. They're all kind of like on top of each other. So what we have here, I can see just by reading them. We have the snare top, kick beater, kick main, kick hose. So this is actually a microphone. I think this is a Sylvia Massey idea and style of miking up a kick drum, where you have like a garden hose and you put the mic at the end of the garden hose, and it kind of gives this rumbly low end kind of thing, right? It lets the low frequency wave kind of develop. And I'm just going to go through these mics. And the first thing I'm going to do, because I kind of feel like the drums are really kind of thin almost, right? And I don't know what that is, but I did try to align these a little bit. Just organically, but you can see like the kick hose and this kick is kind of out of phase, right? They're out of phase with each other. They're not flipped on polarity or anything, but I could just see the phase issues and I could kind of hear them while I'm playing it. And I just want to check that stuff. So here's a room mic. I don't want to bring this into the mix. I just want to kind of focus on these kicks and the snare here. So let's play these three. Sorry, 4 with the kick hose. And I'm just going to kind of like put these in and out and hear what's going on with the phase. Okay, so right there, I found kind of a culprit right away. And there's a couple ways to treat this. You could use like auto align on the drums. I don't typically want to do that when there's so many stacks of different things going on, because you might lose the alignment of phase to the samples that might be stacked on this. But you can hear right away that is out of phase, right? You can hear the snare kind of get washed. The body of the snare goes away. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to zoom in on this waveform view, and we are going to come in here and we're going to, yeah, so you can see right away, they're completely out of phase with each other. So I'm going to take this drum hose, and here's where you got to be careful, because I could put this in phase with the snare, but then it could be totally out of phase with these kick drums. So the first thing I'm going to do is get the kick drums all aligned. And I'm just going to do this organically. I'm just going to naturally move these around. By looking and moving them, right? So you could see this is the kick hose, right? And it's a little bit ahead, and you can see where the positive polarity is coming up. So I'm just going to grab this kick hose and make sure I grab all of it, because you can see it's been looped out. So we're going to grab all those and we're going to move this. We're just going to nudge it over so that it's in phase with these other ones. And we're going to find that 0 crossing point. That's what I usually do. I'll set this marker right where the crossing point is, the 0 crossing point, and then I'll move it to where they're both crossing at 0, okay? Now let's listen to these kicks all together. Boom, simple as that, right? No magic plugin, no specific bullshit. You could do this in any DAW, just using your ear. And that's why you always hear that. Use your ear. Yeah. So here's hi-hats. Let's look at this as well. And we're just going to try to get like as much done without any plugins or anything else, any processing, before we add any processing to anything to get the punch back into the drums. So now I have, what are the hi-hats doing, right? Let's just listen to the hi-hat by itself. Don't need to worry about that being in phase. There's really nothing to lose or gain there, right? It's a hi-hat pattern that's on its own. It's not really, it sounds like it was actually played separately almost. And then here's a room hallway. We do not want to phase align a room hallway because it's going to be a different distance, right? So you want that depth. You don't want this to be perfectly aligned in phase to, say, a close mic on a kick drum, because it's going to be in a different room. It's going to obviously hit different at a different time. And that might be an issue here, as he may have aligned this microphone to be perfectly aligned with the other drums, which wouldn't make sense. This should be different. It would be, honestly, it would be slapped back. And I noticed something when I was going through this. He has this going to bus 27, but he's also sending this to an Echo Boy. And what the Echo Boy is doing here is it's adding a 25 millisecond delay and a 50 millisecond delay. And it looks like we have Echo 1 and 2 up, yes. So we're hearing both of those, and that's going to give it that room and that delay. So I'm not going to mess with that because that's a producer move, but I can tell he probably aligned it and then was like, that doesn't sound like the room. There's no dimension. So I'm going to send it to the Echo Boy to give it dimension, right? Kind of an interesting choice, Jake. Probably got really high and just, started messing with stuff. But let's listen to this drum hallway mic here. All right, so we got the drums back to being punchy, right? Just by moving some things around. Okay, what do you got here? I want to read this real quick. Do you use flex mode for this ever? If not, when would you? Flex mode? No. There's no need to use flex mode in this instance. I don't know why I would do it on this. That wouldn't make too much sense. Like if you wanted to get the timing correct, maybe, you go to like flex mode and yeah, it looks like he already did that. So production-wise, he's got some flex mode on, and it's probably so he could get the rhythm right because he tracked the drums, right? And when you're tracking drums, and then you're also, so he did this, I didn't do this. And then you're also stacking it with other samples, like there's other samples here, there's sample, hi-hat samples, there's a kick sample here, right? There's a snare sample. There's another snare sample. So there's a lot of different samples stacked up. And you're going to hear this is where all the body and the boom of the drums are, I'm sure. All right, so I don't like that kick being so big. The reason being is because I know I'm going to lose a shit ton of headroom if I have that kick so big. But I like the concept that he has here. So what he's using is fat effects here. And I'm going to switch some things out. I absolutely hate the Logic stock EQ, especially in just its normal mode. So if you see here, it's just in like normal EQ mode. This thing causes so many like phasey weird issues. So I'm going to bypass these two plugins and just hear what this sample is doing on its own, and then see where we can beef it up and how we would do that. Yeah, that's insane. So the hard part about that being so boomy and big, and that's where he's getting all of his low big punch. Like if I was just to go in here, I'm going to hit no plugin here, and I'm going to put in like a fab filter, Pro Q4. And what we're going to do here is just kind of check out what's going on, but there's so much going on here. I can already hear it. Like the low end is just massive on this. So that's what we really want it for, is that 40 area. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take this whole thing down with a shelf. And I know this seems counterintuitive, but I really like doing this because I'm not getting any phase issues by using like a filter on this, but I am going to tame the low end quite a bit. I'm just turning down the low end, and that's why you use a shelf. Like, I love using shelves because of that. And I also like it when I'm going to do any shelves. I like natural phase. It kind of mimics like analog EQ, right? It's not as digital with its curves and everything. And so I'm going to go here, and this is 3.81 down. And then we're going to just find that area that we just want to accentuate with this kick, because there's so many layers to the kick. So I'm not going to switch out the fat effects because I feel like that's a production choice, right? I'm not going to be like, oh, I need to switch that and give it a better distortion. No, that's exactly the distortion he's looking for. And I can hear the harmonics of that kick drum that he's going for. So I'm going to leave it. One thing you can do is you could, after these plugins, just add a little light compression so it can hold it together a little bit more. You can shape the kick that way as well, like use it as a transient designer a little bit. And I really like R-Comp for that. You know, these are like just classic compressors that just work, in my opinion, especially on a kick drum. So for the R-Comp, for example, if I want to just make it a little bit more punchy and less like, you know, big and fucking crazy, I can go to like, you know, a 3-to-1, 2-to-1, somewhere around here. And I'll let the initial attack through, like 60 to 70, somewhere around here. And then I'll take the release up or down, depending. If I bring the release up, it's going to be heavier, right? Because it's going to compress longer. So depending on your makeup gain, you could have a kick that's going like boo, boo, instead of boo, 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 right? So releasing faster might make this a little bit more of a punchy kick. And I'll take this to opto and smooth and just give you a before and after here. Just a little bit of containment on the kick drum. That's all I'm doing. And I might even go to like 4-to-1 or so. So we're just going every 4 dB that comes in, we get 1. So we're actually turning it down more as it crosses the threshold. And I just want this to punch. That's kind of the idea. This yellow light, this indicator, as it lights up, it means it's hitting the limiter that's built into the R-Comp, which is actually pretty cool, and it's colorful. And for this kind of kick drum, I like it. I want to limit it a little bit just so that I can kind of take the peaks. We're getting peaks on so many other things for this kick drum as we stack these samples. And I don't want to have just one kick drum taking over the whole sound of the kick drum. I'm trying to make this a smaller part of the kick drum. As I know, as it goes down the chain, the drum mix bus, the master bus, etc., we're going to stack and stack and stack, and all of a sudden we're going to run out of headroom for the low end. And that's what I'm afraid of. So I'm just trying to play some housekeeping. Okay, I love that. So that's just got a little slap to it and it's sounding good, but let's put it in context with the other drums here. So again, I'm just going through the drums right now and I'm trying to give myself some room to actually work on these drums because I notice they're smashing, they're hitting really hard. Weirdness just happened with this as I noticed this. This is going to a drum sum bus, which is going to this EQ. And I think it's actually causing some sort of latency or flamming with the original kick here. So this big kick here, it might have been that I added the compressor on this and we got some weirdness going on, but I also noticed this is going to another bus, a drum sum bus. So if I click on this, I can see that it's called drum sum or drums some bus or something. So let's take this this kick main sample out to the same bus as these other, which are just going right now directly to the stereo bus. So we're gonna go boom like that. Okay, so see if that took care of that flam that happened. All right, you notice what I'm trying to figure out here, right? Is all these kind of flamming out of phase drum hits because there's so many stacks. And my job as an engineer is to make sure that those are impactful and they're hitting right. And we're not trying to fix that by just layering new samples on, which I think what he was doing in the production process was, hey man, I'm not getting that bottom end. And it's because things are out of phase. It's not because the drum's not punchy and you can't get that low end out of what he already had. It's that, oh, I'm just going to do this. You know, producers, sometimes when you're producing something, you're just flying, right? You're like, oh no, I need another kick drum that's big and beefy and fat and big on the bottom end, right? And I feel like that's what he was doing here. So we have to make sure that we align all this stuff. And I can also see that these kick drums are very similar. You know, even if you look at the waveforms, and you can see that they're kind of in phase, medium in phase. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not bad, but you can hear them starting to flam. Sometimes what will fix that in a project is just using the same plugins on each channel and bypassing them, right? Like basically going into this Pro Q4 and just bypassing all this, like turning it off. And like, I'm just trying to fix this issue right now. So as I go through this, I'm just going to be doing that because I'm working off of his session, which I do sometimes for artists, right? Like it makes it easier for them. They don't have to make all these stems and shit. So we're going to do this. We're going to go boom, boom, reset this 1-to-1. You're not doing any compression at all. So we're just going through the R comp and see if this helps. And right away it does. You see what I'm saying? So like simple kind of fixes, you have to think simple first. Don't think too complex. Like, oh my God, I need to auto align on top of my compressor, on top of my blah, blah, blah. And I need to do this and that. It's like, no, sometimes you just add the same plugins and you get the same latency and everything gets fixed automatically. Make sure they're routing the right way and no problem. Like they're now in phase and now they're big and punchy and slappy. And they sound fucking awesome together. So now we want to make sure that the other kicks are also doing that same thing, right? Like this is where we're going to get our impact, but I spend so much time on this, and why I stress this so much as I'm working on it is because I know down the road, this is going to be a big issue. I don't want to be adding plugins to fix an issue that should have been fixed at literally the samples being out of phase with each other, right? Because then I'll start EQing more, I'll start compressing more, and I'll start getting artifacts that are going to cause the track not to be as punchy and tight. And which means when it gets, dithered down, like it's going to get truncated, the signal, it's going to get truncated and then streamed at 128 kilobits per second. You're going to lose so much information, and that phasing and the artifacts are going to become even more ridiculous, and the imagery gets smeared and the transients get smeared and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. But you can see this is also going to drum some, right? And that's because there's some, it looks like there's some, automation on this. So I got to be aware of all this stuff that he's doing as a producer. And you can see, I can also see that he's making these drums, he's like really shaping them with an EQ here. Thank God he's using Pro Q3, right? It sounds a lot better than the Logic stock EQ. So let's start to hear all these kicks together. All right, and I start to get to a point where I'm like, I need to like get these kind of more manageable, right? Like the production, you got like kick, 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 this kick, that kick sample. Like how do we get these all to work together and then bounce them out, you know, and just move them around? Because like working with these three kicks is kind of ridiculous. But I also want to, I think, gate this hose and this kick beater. He had silencer on here, which is a gate. So I don't know if he had this on or off, but I feel like we should gate this. So I'm going to do a Pro G. Pro G, bro. Hey, Pro G. My Pro G. It's got to be like a word in some language, right? Right? So let's try to get this pretty tight. I find that if you just go to drums and you go to like kick drum or drum kit or something, start somewhere. Like kick long is good. I really like how the snare sounds in that kick hose. And it sounds like he's kind of EQ'd that out, but I want to bypass this EQ and just hear the difference because I really like that mid-range of the snare. And I think it'll add to the kit because right now the kit sounds thin to me. So maybe he kind of overdid this a little bit. So I'm going to pop this in and bypass the EQ. Okay, so I kind of agree with that 260, 270 area. So what I'm going to do is mess with this and get rid of some of that. Still a little bit of flamming going on, and I'm not really sure what that is. It could be the fact that this is going to this other subgroup. So let's do this. I'm just going to make sure he's not doing any crazy moves. Yeah, I could get rid of that. I don't care about that much. So we're going to take these kicks also just directly out, just so I can get everything kind of aligned and punching. Just tighter already, but there's still a lot more to do on these drums. And I think what's going on here is the snares and everything else need to be just really tight and precise with what we've already done. So let's really hone in here on the drum. Yeah, I think I want more of this. I like this. I like this, like, this kind of punchy, crunchy kind of thing. And I want less of that and more mid-range out of this. You can hear right away that's out of phase, right? So every time I put in a new drum, I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound right. So we have to make sure that this is all very aligned. And yeah, this is out of phase. So we got to really make sure this is right too. So on this instance here, let's make sure we know which one we want to align to. I'm going to go here and see if this is aligned to anything. Yeah, this one's kind of weird. It's going to be hard to align that, but I think these two here are most in line together. So we're going to match this one to these, okay? So this is kind of part of the job that you want to get pretty nitty-gritty with. So I'm going to bring this one forward, I think, is what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab all of them this time so I don't have to do it later down the road. We're going to go like this. And I'm just going to bring this a little bit. Oh, got to have room at the front if you're going to do this. Aligning phase. Yay. Everyone likes aligning phase. Okay, so I'm going to find, I think this one kind of is easier to eyeball. All right. Yeah. Trying to find that initial attack. And this is weird because it's all distorted. So I'm going to say that this is the initial attack here. All right. I know this is convoluted and weird, but I'm sorry, guys. I have to get this right before I go adding anything else to it. I'm going to kind of go like that. All right, now let's hear these. See how much that changes the snare? It's like, oh, okay. There's the punch. There's the actual snare drum. Okay, now let's pop the kicks in. And we know this kick hose has the snare in it as well, so let's make sure that sounds good. See, now we're getting somewhere. You know what I mean? I feel like once you lock the phase in with all these drums, because there's so many stacks on top of each other, then you start to go, ah, okay, it makes sense now. Now let's pop the bass in and hear what those are doing together. Okay, dope. So on this synth bass here, we're getting our rhythm and our pulse really well. On this bass, the direct kind of distorted acoustic bass, electric bass, whatever that he played in, it sounds like he DI'd it, and then he's got this distortion, fold back kind of thing going on with the fat effects. The fold back is kind of fucking us up a little bit because it's kind of taking away from the pulse, and it's getting like on certain parts it's going instead of like we're not hearing that pulse, but it's also giving it grunge and it's giving it a vibe. So you have to kind of like go between the two. You don't want it to be perfectly pulsed, right? Because then it'll sound too electronic and not like Maudlin Strangers. Like this is what Jake wanted, right? Like I know him and his style very well. And so we have to kind of fuck around with this to make it feel a little bit more driving and a little bit more like a pulse on the ARP. And we're going to use the ARP and not the bass main to get that pulse, right? So for example, here, I'm just going to kind of mess around with the balance on the volume. Right, you can hear what's going on. So I want to tighten this up. I want this to be really tight, and I want it to be like more transient heavy, if that makes sense. Okay, and what we're gonna do to start with is I'm just gonna zoom in on the wave here so we can really see what's going on here. Right, reading waveforms is like such a big part of mixing, but you can see these are like that, right? So we want to kind of reshape this waveform a little bit. And I'm going to use the Magma, the new one from Waves, the stress box here. And the reason I'm going to use this is because it has this expansion mode, which will tighten up the release. See how we're getting that like that gnarly like the transient, the initial of it, it's like starting to like get distorted in a really cool way. But it's also like tightened. It's a lot tighter than like it's going bang gang 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 gang. You know, it's just kind of shaping it differently. And just to show you exactly what that looks like, if we bounce this in place and we say like yeah, sure, do that. Just so you can kind of see what it's doing to the shape of it. It's bringing that transient up a little bit. Do you see that? So it's not much, but it's actually like probably not doing exactly what I want it to do, because I'm wanting this to kind of like pop up more and then it kind of taper down a little bit more. So I might want to use like a traditional compressor with like a, you know, attack release, mess with that, or a transient designer or something like that. But it is making this part more pronounced, right? This initial attack. And so it's bringing these transients up. And you could just see like the harmonics a lot better. Mainly bringing it up in volume, but I think it's also adding harmonics. I can kind of hear that. So that's really what we're doing when we use this magma on this. And I'm having a hard time with this note right here. You know, I don't know what the note is without, you know, playing it on my keyboard, but this is kind of like rolling too much and needs a little bit of clarity on it so that it's not doing that one note thing where you're like, oh, I'm hearing these notes, and then this one note, when it goes lower, it's like you're losing it and it just sounds like slop. So let's do a little bit of dynamic EQing on that part. I'm just going to go in here and get rid of this, actually, this channel EQ. And we're going to pop in Pro Q4, because you know me, I'm just like always on the Pro Q4 game. Who isn't, right? Who is not? Okay, don't want a low cut. I want a low shelf. I do not want to be cutting down here on this, but I do want to get this like pretty low. And we'll let the sub bass, synth bass take over that area. And then on this, let's just hear it and play it. See how that just kind of cleaned it up a little bit? And I think it's probably because the fat effects. So let's actually do it before the fat effects so that that note isn't so pronounced in the distortion of the fat effects. Because what I can see here is there's a filter, there's a bass enhancer, which is probably where we're getting that distortion and drive. And there's also distortion on, but like very low. It looks like 5%. So yeah. Man, I really like what that magma did. It made like the groove feel a little different, which I really dig. I think it sounds cool. But I'm going to also go in and transient master on this. And I'm going to just kind of give this a little more attack and a little less sustain. That's all we're going to do. Yeah, sounding really sick. And now for the chorus on this bass, I'm going to duplicate it and just the choruses here. I'm going to pull these down to this track. And I'm going to try throwing this transient master on this as well. And just to tighten it up, because it does sound a little too loosey-goosey for me. And I think it'll tighten up the groove as well. And kind of the style of the song. The song to me is like very like, you know, it's rolling. Okay, so let's just do this. I don't want to hit any attack for now. I just want to bring the sustain down a little bit. All right, I think that's a little bit better. It's not much better, but I don't think we need much. We still want it to be chaotic and rough.
Living on the west side, I bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your head dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. You're living on the west side, living on the west side. Bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your head dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side. Living on the west side. Bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your head dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side. Living on the west side. Bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your head dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes.
Okay, some of the moves he's making on these vocals are kind of cracking me up a little bit. So compression, lots of compression, which is fine. You know, good FET compressor on vocals sounds awesome. 1176. But this channel EQ is ridiculous, right? This is literally just, you're just turning the vocal down. Like, this is turning the vocal down. Like, might as well just do this, right? So, yeah, these EQ moves are really ridiculous and kind of silly. So what I'm going to do here on this is say no plugin. Very daring of me to take this and start to mess with it, but I'm going to because I'm mixing this and I want it to sound better, okay? And that's just not making sense to me, right? So if we need to, we will turn the vocal down. But to start out, I want to put a 1176 here because it just sounds better. First of all, that's the big thing. And the Rev A is going to give that distortion and that vibe that he's looking for much better than the stock Logic Pro compressor. It has that color. It's really beautiful. I think it's one of my favorites.
Living on the west side, bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your head dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes.
All right, already sounds way better, right? Just to me. I also think with the EQ, what he's trying to do is make it darker and more mid-range focused, okay? That's just what I hear. I hear like this 900 area, this area right here is where he wants this stuff be focused and not so much of the top spitty stuff, pop, polishy kind of sounding, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to pop all the vocals in again. because right now I'm just focusing on the lead here, but there's a stack, and that's what this chorus is made of. And make sure they're all going through the same thing, because you can see there's like 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so this is going through 1, 2. These guys are going through their own channel as well, right? So there's different stacks for different stuff, which I think is kind of weird and is going to cause some problems and probably some phase issues, if not timing issues, right? All these different vocals going through different subgroup stacks, right? Typically that's not a problem like with DAWs, but every once in a while you have this problem with the way that it's making up for the delay, especially when you have like bypass plugins in the chain and stuff. And you just really have to use your ear, because never trust a DAW. Oh, it's just going to take care of the latency and, you know, it's all fine. Like, I don't think so. I can already hear there's timing issues in the vocals because of this thing, right? Because of these going through separate stacks. So for example, this one is going through, this is the main and the left-right double. These are going through this stack here, right? This channel strip, bus 10, let's call it, right? And then we go here and we're going to bus 12. And this has decapitator, vocal rider, blah, blah, blah on it, right? And then we go here and this goes to bus 13. Then we go here and this goes to bus 11. So there's all these vocals going to different buses with different plugins on them. And this could cause a lot of different weird phasey issues. It could cause problems with timing, etc. So what we want to try to do is kind of dumb this down. As mixing engineers, I want to like make this much more simple and still sound exactly how he wanted it, right? How he's got it in his head. So what I'm going to do right now is just play this back, going through our new chain here, and get this EQ curve right for the leads.
Living on the west side, I bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side, living on the west side. But you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side, living on the west side. But you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side.
Okay, so volume-wise, they might be a little bit off, but I think frequency-wise, this is kind of somewhere where I'm just like roughing it out and going, okay, good starting point, right? And I think that sounds much better than what he had, but I think it still needs a little bit more glue, like compression held together. So what I'm going to do is just adjust this for now, the vocal rider, so that it's just taking it down in volume just a touch, so it sits back in that stack nicely.
Living on the west side, but you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side, living on the west side, but you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side, living on the west side. I bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. You're living on the west side. Living on the west side. I bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. You're living on the west side. Living on the west side. I bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side. Living on the west side. I bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side. Living on the west side. I bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side. Living on the west side.
All right, so these are starting to get together a little bit more. I just wanted to get some of that boom out of the low vocal. I like it, but it starts to get way too pronounced in the stack.
Living on the west side, but you wanna look nice. Gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes.
All right, cool. I'm really liking it. I feel like the harmonic structure needs to support the vocal a little bit more. So let's go to where the harmonics are, which will probably be in the guitars. And yeah, there's some acoustics here. Lots of guitars, actually. And then, yeah, more guitars. Let's take all these up, put them all together. You guys got any questions as we're going through all this? I'm just kind of roughing this mix out right now for the chorus. So as we go, we'll get deeper and deeper into stuff, obviously. But right now, I want to get this chorus sounding great. You know, like this is the key to like getting the mix right. And then I'll start going to the master bus and adjusting some stuff on the master bus. But biggest reason why I'm like kind of cleaning up the low end and like, you know, shaping stuff is because as we get to the master bus, we have this Manly, right? This is he had this on, by the way. This was his setting here. And you can see there's like little bit of this, which is like 68, which he's boosting quite a bit actually. And then we have a cut at 560. And then we got a boost at, what is that? I can barely see that, 3.3K. And then boost at 16K, I want to say here. And then, yeah, that's stereo. So that's what he's got going on here. Quite a bit of shaping on the master bus, especially with this boost here. And this is something I will definitely keep in mind as I go through this. I put this on here, the BX Boom V3. I took it down a little bit, like I'm basically taking down the boom at 62. I think this is a shelf. I'm not positive, but if it's not, it's just sounding good to me. And then I'm driving just a touch of this and then making up the gain a little bit, negative 0.4. So popping this in and out, I'll show you what it's doing. It's kind of adding some aggression to the mix.
Living on the west side, but you wanna look nice. Gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side, living on the west side, but you wanna look nice.
Really cool for just adding a little bit of what I think sounds like a transformer getting driven a little bit, right? That's all it is. And I'm going to just accentuate this so you can really hear this, because this is a brand new plugin to me. I've never actually used this before, but I thought it was perfect for what I'm doing here. So if I turn this boom up, you can hear it, and then I'll turn the drive up and down as well so you can really hear it.
Living on the west side, but you wanna look nice. Gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side, living on the west side.
Pretty cool plugin, very musical to me. So I like musical plugins. I use that term a lot in my when I'm talking about this stuff, but it's because I really do. I hear like the harmonics and I'm like, oh, that's a great harmonic. That's doing great things to the complex waveform. Okay, God Particle, he had this on. I adjusted it a little bit. I think 200% on this is a little bit crazy, but I think it's also because he's trying to get to the finished product really quickly, right? So it's like, turn up the harmonics. That's all we're really doing here. But I'll be adjusting this as well.
Living on the west side, but you wanna look nice. Gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes.
But you notice now that I kind of shaped the low end a little bit on that kick drum, that massive kick drum, and the bass, tightening it up, and then also the vocals and everything. Just these small little moves is going to give me the ability to push this record a lot harder when it comes to loudness. And I do think that this type of record needs that fucking, you know, push out of the speakers. And that's going to happen by tightening up the low end. I could not do that with how he had the kick drum. There's no way. And I already tried it, honestly. I had the first thing I did, which was really kind of funny because I want to show it to you. Let's see if it actually works now because I cleaned up the low end. But I typically want, on this style of music, I'll do something like a Neve 33609, or I'll do a Manly variable mu. And what I first reached for was a variable mu. and I'll show you what it sounded like right now. You're not really going to get the context because what I did earlier was had that kick drum really fucking massive and it just started pumping the compressor. And that's really what you don't want, and something you really got to pay attention to as you're mixing into your master bus. So I like this Phil Tan starting point, the master mix bus. And then typically I'll just adjust from here. I might push a little bit more into the input. I definitely want to take the threshold to max and then just barely tickle the needle here. And then the recovery, I'll usually like it like anywhere from the middle to fast. You know, it just depends on the source material. We'll leave it at fast for now. And then the attack, I like it really slow. That's why I like this setting to start with. But listen to what happens to the compression as we push into this with too much low end.
But you wanna look nice. Gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side. Living on the west side. But you wanna look nice. Gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold.
Now earlier that kick drum was fucking huge, so every time it hit it was going like and it was just pumping and it sounded like absolute hell. So that's what happens when you have too much low end in your mix. You're not going to get it on the master bus. And also this is like way too fast for me to hit the master bus. I would not be hitting the master bus like this at all. There's no fucking way. If I want a professional record, I'm going to do my subgroups. I'm going to work on the individual elements moving into the mix subgroups. So we're talking vocal mix group. We're talking drums mix group, bass mix group, all instruments mix group, guitar mix group. And we're going to shape as we go. I'm not just going to go directly from, for example, as you can see here, we have the lead vocal going directly to the lead vocal sum that goes directly to the master bus. Like I would not be doing that. Like these have to be, they need to be mixed. I don't know how better to say it. They need to be like pre-chewed more. And I think this is too much that's going on this so far, to be honest with you. But that's because these stacks were kind of set up already when I got the session. And so I'm still trying to keep the tone and slowly take plugins out and slowly adjust things, right? For example, like I just don't like this EQ. The reason being is it adds color to shit. It adds phase to shit. Like it's a very phasey EQ. It adds sterile sounding gain to stuff. You know, and the filters are god awful. Like these, it's just not a very good EQ. Like that, in my opinion, and I've used this for fucking 18 years now, you know, Logic Pro stock EQ. It's gotten better over the years, but it's definitely still has color to it. It is nowhere near what a Pro Q can do. It's just different algorithms, completely different. So this right here tells me a lot of things as well. So this lead vocal stack here going to this EQ means, again, we just want that mid-range driven vocal, right? So I can replace this very easily. And especially he's got this mid-range, like the mids, the 2K, 1K area. He's got that tucked back quite a bit as well. And the volume down, like it's just volume down is what we're doing here. We're turning things down and then we're turning them back up with the vocal rider. It's kind of funny. Decapitator. So you're just driving mid-range into the decapitator and then you're turning the brightness up on the decapitator when you've already taken the brightness down by shelving it all and scooping it all out. Like it's just really kind of a weird way of mixing. And I don't think he's mixing. He's just shaping. He's like producing. I'm shaping the shit. Here's how I think it sounds good. You know, and that's what production does. And that's why when I get it, I'm like, now let me get that idea he has. He's got the sketch, right? He's got his sketch going. Now I'm like, now let's use the good shit and let's take that sketch and make it a record, right? That's the idea. So on this lead stack here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with a Pro Q4. And just so we're safe, so we're not losing the tone that he already has, let's put the Pro Q4 right after the built-in EQ, right? And so you guys can also hear the difference of what this EQ sounds like. It's just a better EQ. So we'll match this, right? We'll go in here and we'll go, okay, sweeping up to 4K and up here, we're going to about 137 and then we're booming out that. Okay, gotcha. It's pretty simple, right? So we'll go 4K here. I'm just going to sweep it out, filter it, you know, up to about yeah, here. And then we'll go here and we'll go boop and we'll go up to like 100 and something, right? And then here he's just got like this mid-range thing that he's doing this, you know. And I think you probably want to be more focused on 2K, but we'll just start with that, right? And let's just hear this, bypass in and out.
Living on the west side, 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 living on the west side.
Just sounds more musical. It's not giving you the artifacts and the weird, yeah, it just doesn't sound good. Like, to me, that's a big difference. And let's put in left and right because that is weird just hearing the left. I'm sorry. So here's the left and right of this.
Living on the west side, living on the west side.
Okay, so we're going to match this. The channel EQ here is darker. This is definitely darker. So it looks like a steeper slope, right? 24. Yeah. So we'll go here and we'll go here and we'll take this to 24 and this one to 24. And then we're going to just get that right.
Living on the west side, 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 living on the west side.
Just already more musical just with the Pro Q4, right? That's all we're doing is switching that out. And I think we could tighten this up because I think the mid-range here sounds pretty good, right? Like that area. And I think he's just not wanting this to clip out too much on that mid-range. So I'm just trying to match that. And then going to the decapitator, taking the tone down, and let's mess around with these filters.
Living on the west side, 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 living on the west side. Living on the west side. Living on the west side. But you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes.
Just more musical, baby. That's all we're doing. We're just trying to make things a little bit more musical throughout the process. All right, now what do we have here? Falsetto. Same thing, dude. We're going to this motherfucker. And, God, it pisses me off. I just hate it so much. Sorry for hating on Logic Pro stock EQs so much for you guys out there that are like, man, I love those EQs. They're amazing. I'm sorry. I am so sorry.
Living on the west side.
That sounds like trash to me. So I think maybe it's, this is a little too dark, first of all. So he's got that. That's cool. That's cool. It's the concert hall that's dark. And then he's going 1.5 on the 470. So he's bass multing it, which I don't think is a good look.
Living on the west side. Bitch, living on the west side. Living on the west side. Bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side. Bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes.
Great. That's going to clean up that part quite a bit. Now let's take this EQ and toss it. And let's hear this vocal.
Living on the west side. Bet you wanna look nice.
Yeah, I don't mind it, but I also can hear where he wants to clean up some of that low stuff.
Living on the west side. Bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side. Bet you wanna look nice.
Beautiful. Very simple. I don't need to boost that mid-range area that he was boosting. It was like 600 or something, and that can sometimes add depth, but the vocal already has depth. So I think he was really just using that to turn the volume up. And I think that's kind of what I'm hearing a lot in his mix moves. And I don't even think of these as mix moves. I think of them more as production moves. But one thing I do want to do is hit this with some Pro DS and just make sure that these S's and the sibilants doesn't keep stacking up, right? So he does have the sibilants plugin on this lead kind of bus here, but I think we need more on the individual vocals here. So I'm going to go all the way down to about 4K and all the way up. And I'm just going to take these down just a touch.
Living on the west side, I bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. I can see it. Living on the west side, I bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes.
So much smoother to me. Just my ear is like, yeah, that's what's up. That's amazing. I love that. Okay, and now he's got Vocal Rider on here and Soothe. So on Soothe, I want to make sure I'm not doing any oversampling, which I'm not, but I do want to take this up a little bit. I'm going to go too high on this. And then, yeah, what are we doing? We're just taking down that 4/8. Okay, cool. That's pretty simple. Just smoothing it out a little bit. Vocal Rider is totally bypassed. So what I want to use is the mu, which is the pulsar mu, and I want to get a really smooth compression for these. I want these to be held together. So I'm going to go here, go to vocal, and sure, leveling, fine. And then I want to take the attack pretty damn fast. Like, let's start fully fast, and we'll start with a max kind of here, and let's just set this.
Living on the west side, living on the west side. I bet you wanna look nice. Living on the west side, I bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side, I bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes.
Smooth as butter. This is such a silky smooth compressor. And now we don't have those, you know, now we're just, right? Because I feel like this vocal layer just needs to be a layer. It needs to be that little silk ribbon throughout.
Living on the west side, I bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side, living on the west side, but you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side, living on the west side, but you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes.
I still hate the compression on the master bus. It is too much right now, so I'm going to take that off. I don't like it. No likey. Okay, check it out, before and after.
Living on the west side, but you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eye. Living on the west side, but you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side, living on the west side, but you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side, living on the west side, I bet you wanna look nice.
Let's make these guys sound a little bit more interesting, because they're interesting, but they're not doing it for me, man. So what I think is maybe a cool idea is to throw some slappy clappy pappy on this mad trappy clappy. Getting sappy. All right, so let's go basic and just give this like a slap A little smacky dappy. Studio tape echo. Studio tape echo. Yeah. All right. And we'll go to time and we'll take this to like somewhere around 76. Might be a little long. Yeah. And then we'll go to like a plex and we'll do this. We'll do this. We'll saturate it. I know, I'm just like adjusting shit and not hearing it. I'm not listening, dude. I'm a bad engineer. I don't know what I'm doing. That's what I always hear in like comments when I put these kind of posts like up as separate short clips of me adjusting it and not playing the music. It's like, motherfucker, I've been using Echo Boy for like 16 years. Like, kind of know what it sounds like already. Also, the mix knob is all the way down, but let's blend it in. Sounds pretty sick. I like it. At 160, let's just try. Let's go to note. And let's just see what this is. Yeah, 93. Okay, so like that's 16th is 93. I don't want it to be perfect. This is one thing I don't like about mixing, like people that set everything perfectly. They're like, have you ever timed out your compression to milliseconds? I'm like, no, why the fuck would I do that? You know, because that takes away from like what I do as a job. Let AI do that. You want AI to mix your record and not have any human touch to it? Like, go for it, dude. Make it perfect. Calculate everything. I'm not going to do that. I want it to be a little off. I like it being a little off. It's what makes it interesting to me. Right? So 118.5 makes it hang back a little bit. And I just like the sound of that. So let's pop it into the mix though, because this doesn't mean anything. Solo it out. But you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your head tied. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side. Living on the west side. But you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your head tied. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Just a little more dimension. That's all we're doing on this. And honestly, you could get away with just not doing that, but you know, I'm mixing and I'm like, I like that. I think it's interesting. Now let's just hear all these together. Solo it out. See if we're like got the balance right. Living on the west side. I bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your head dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Yeah, it sounded pretty good. The lead vocal feels like it needs to be compressed. I don't know why. I think it's because it's not coming off as like the vocal, you know? I'm going to use something smoother. The anniversary edition is not as gritty as the Rev A. That's why I like it, and we can do 2-to-1 on it. Living on the west side. I bet you want to look nice. You're going to get your head dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Yeah, it's starting to sound better. The low vocals, I think, are fine. And then the left-right stacks, I don't know. Let's hear all these together. Just the leads here. Living on the west side. I bet you want to look nice. You're gonna get your head dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. You're living on the west side. Living on the west side. I bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your head dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. You're living on the west side. Living on the west side. Living on the west side. I bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your head dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. You're living on the west side. Living on the west side. I bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your head dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes.
You're living on the west side. Living on the west side. I bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. You're living on the west side. Living on the west side. I bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. You're living on the west side. Living on the west side. Living on the west side. Bet you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side. Living on the west side. Buy yourself a pretty life. You ain't, can you believe yourself? Didn't think so. Living on the west side. Look who you are, look in the mirror. Do you really see yourself? Out and inside a luxury rider. Do you even drive yourself? Out of your phone, now you're alone. Are you enjoying yourself? Look who you are, look who you ain't. Can you believe yourself? Didn't think so. Living on the west side. But you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side. Buy yourself a pretty life. See it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side. But you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your hair dyed. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side. Living on the west side.
All right, so something that is like bugging me is that everything's hard panned left and right, which kind of gives us this sense of like big mono is what I'd call it. So everything you see here, he's got it panned hard left, hard right, hard left, hard right, hard right, hard right, hard left, hard right. So it's like everything's just starting to sound really mono as far as like the harmonic structure of it. And I couldn't figure it out at first, but now I can hear it so much better, just kind of soloing these out and really listening. This one thing is kind of saving him, this kind of binaural panning here of these two instruments. But for some reason, there's not one here. And I'm wondering if that got deleted or if that was on purpose, but I'm just going to move this over here just to, you know, to hear these together because it sounds really weird with that one being weird to the right binaural. But yeah, so everything feeling like, oh, I need to pan this hard right, hard left, hard right, hard left. This is starting to just feel very mono. So let's kind of solo all of these guitar parts out. These are kind of more all rhythm parts, I believe. All right, so it looks like he's got these automating up in just certain parts of the track, but I don't see any automation on these. So I'm not really sure that this should be like this. I'm just gonna kind of turn this off and bring these in. Maybe we're missing this and I need to pop in the reference.
Living on the west side. Living on
Yeah, that's a really cool counter. I definitely want that in the mix. So even if he tells me to take that back out, fine, you know, but I think this is really cool. And I also want to bring this in, you know, like 34, 34, like listen to what it does for all the other instruments.
Living on the west side, but you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your head tied. I can see it in your cold dead eyes.
Yeah, and I feel like these play off that guitar line. So let's hear these together.
Living on the west side, but you wanna look nice. You're gonna get your head tied. I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side.
Another thing I want to do is take these S's and start to line them up. So I don't want to mess around with his vocal alignment because he made it really clear that, you know, he's got everything like that dialed in. So if I do send it back to him and he's like, yo, bro, we need to align these better. Fine, dude, we can do that. But for now, I'm going to leave them as they are because that's what he wanted. If it were up to me, I would align these and I'd get these a lot tighter as far as like the vocals for the chorus. But I'm going to leave them out of respect for, you know, what he's requesting. But at the end of the day, I do want to, the big thing that I'm having a problem with on these vocals is where the S's are landing, you know? I'm hearing like this, Westside, you know, and I think that's just too sloppy for this song.
Living on the west side, I bet you wanna look nice.
It's really that right there. The nice, you know, like I gotta fucking fix that. That's gonna absolutely kill me. So I'm gonna go boom and just move these S's over so that they're lined up better. You know, that's all I'm doing. I'm gonna go boom. It doesn't need to be perfect with, you know, this kind of rock and roll type shit, but you do want them to. I mean, this is still pop rock. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like we're not like doing, you know, this isn't K-pop. We're not doing like perfection, but I do want these to land better.
Thanks, thanks, you good, 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 thanks, you gonna get your head tied. I can see it in your cold dead eyes.
That one as well. Eyes. You know, we just got to line these. And you want to pay attention to, when you're doing this kind of stuff, just pay attention to where the grid is and where the S's should probably be hitting and find a general kind of consensus for that. And so like, I'm just looking at this, the count 3 here. So it's like a 2 count right here. So I'm going to just move, you know, anything that's like really sloppy over just a little bit. That's all I'm doing. So like that guy, you know, and then this one here. You know, just doing a little housekeeping here. That's all I'm doing. And I know Jake doesn't want me to change this song. You know, he knows what he likes. It's just, I do want to do the things that I think are like, dude, this is, come on, man. You can't leave that. You know what I mean? Like, come on. What kind of engineer would I be if I just like left that shit and was like, yeah, dude, I put some compression and EQ on it and added some slap delay and messed with the master bus. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, that's a big part of why you get hired. Like that ear and the experience of doing this stuff and making sure that everything's going to translate to all systems, right? It's going to sound great on a phone, on a laptop. It's going to translate. It's going to stream well on Spotify because it's mixed for Spotify. That's usually what I'm mixing for. Spotify, Apple Music. But yeah, you got to take care of these things.
Living on the west side, I can see it in your cold dead eyes. Living on the west side.
You know, it's just smoother. It's intentional. It feels better. I don't know. That's just for me. But yeah, he's got this like drag X fade on. Hate that. I'm just going to say no overlap. I like to work in kind of Pro Tools style. There's things that are like, as I'm working through the session, I'm going to have to adjust and change, you know, just so you guys know. Some of this stuff is like set up where it's like you drag it and it gives a crossfade. Like, no, I don't want that. You know, that's not what I'm looking for. I know how to make my own crossfades. I'd rather just do this. This is what I want it to do. The action I usually want out of Logic is this right here, right? Just no overlap. Just like Pro Tools would do. You know, that for me is best. And then I can add a fade if I want it or it needs it. But I think someone was just asking that in the comments. So I just wanted to refer to that. You know, stupid stuff like that I'm going to be fixing along the way. I'll do it on this one as well. Or if it's the same, which it does look like it's exactly the same, I'll just fly it over. You know, boop, 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 boop. Bam. There you go. Now it's flown and you got your S's in place. Make sure nothing weird got copied over. You know what I mean? That's how we do it. That's how we do it, baby boys and girls. And this one as well. Boom. That will definitely be need to be handled, right? You got a lot of guitar solo distortion kind of stuff just going right over the vocals, and I'm assuming that's an intentional thing, like just let the guitar take over the vocals sort of thing. Yeah, so we'll manage that as we get through the mix. But yeah, you know, this is kind of where I'm going to start with this. And then I have a lot of work ahead of me on this mix. But I definitely want to, at this point, bring in the reference, start to make sure that that kick drum still has that power in the low end, you know, because I do feel like I'm missing that. And then I want to get my routing down and give myself some gain staging, right? So perfect example, right? If we go into this end chorus here, and we go to the master bus, here's another problem that I noticed with his mix right away is that he's overpowering the master bus right away. So I take all the plugins off the master bus and let's just look at what he's got going on for the gain here. Right, so we're hitting the master bus 4.3 dB over, right? So gain staging the whole track will be something that I will be doing. Right now, I'm just kind of doing overall like broad strokes and getting like those vocals tighter. I feel like I need to align them or I need to mess around with the routing on those. But I'm going to get to that because I have to, basically my next step for this would be to start to get all the routing down. For example, like all this is going to stereo out. So if it's all just going directly to the stereo out, I'm not really getting my gain stages where I can manage them really well. And I want to make sure that it's manageable for me and how I personally work. You know, I already went in and colored everything and like moved things around and, you know, have things where I can really understand what's going on. But now it's at the point where, okay, well, we got to make up some gain here. And he's got a bunch of stuff reading automation. So I need to make sure that those automation lanes are not doing volume automation, right? So I have to adjust those things if I do adjust the gain staging. Then you have the concept of this being a vocal mix bus for this lead vocal, but then a whole new one for this 1, 2, 3, and then a whole new one for 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then a whole new one for 1, 2, 3, 2, and then a whole new one for 1, 2, you know, like we have all these different vocal mix buses. And I think that's because when I opened the track, he had a bunch of vocal stacks, right? So they were all like stacked in folders, take folders, or what we call track stacks in Logic Pro. And what that ends up doing is it gives you this bus that everything is like on. And as he's producing, he's probably just overall like, hey, this idea here, for example, let's solo this. That whisper idea right there is going to be treated with this compressor, decapitator, and Pro EQ. So, or the EQ. So that's the general sound of our whispers, right? So he has that over the 1, 2, 3, 4 tracks. And as he's producing, he's like chunking things, you know what I mean? And that's not how I would mix vocals. You know, what I would do is I would individually treat these and figure out exactly how they should sound. You know, like this is all one thing. Buy yourself a pretty life. I could literally just bounce that, right? That's the whispers, like it's not that crazy, right? And if I wanted to, I could go back and do additional processing effects or whatever on it. So I'm going to give you an example of that real quick here. So here is the whispers, and here's what I would do as an engineer. I might take these and go to this here. We have a compressor, we have a decapitator, and then we have the EQ doing the filtering, okay? So the EQ, let's just make sure we match this with like a Pro Q4, because I do think that it just sounds better, especially when you're filtering. So I'm going to turn these filters on. I'm going to go to natural phase on this, and then we're going to go just match this guy. What has he got going on, mate? Okay, so this is going to be, what, 12 dB per octave slope at 710, and then 24 at 63, okay? So 710, he's going way up here, 710, yeah, somewhere around here, right? Let's go, boom, just to be safe. And then this is going to be 703, is that what it says? I already forgot. Just thinking out loud here. Okay, yeah, 6,300, 24. 6,300. So we'll go to 6,400, right? Somewhere around there. Now let's just let the Pro Q. Buy yourself a pretty life. Buy yourself a pretty life. Same shit, right? But it sounds a little bit more natural. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Hopefully you can. Here's the channel EQ. Buy yourself a pretty life. Buy yourself a pretty life. Just a little bit more organic to me. The Pro Q4 sounds better than the channel EQ. And so what I'm going to do here, very simply, is just take these, all these, and bounce them in place. And this will give me, hopefully, what I hope is the lead vocal sum here. And we'll just call this whispers. This also helps me kind of just work more efficiently if I can do this and bounce these whispers and just have that done and not go through this again. You know what I mean? So now I can just go directly out to the output for now, but we'll build a vocal mix bus or an all vocal bus as well so we can meet everything there. But let's make sure that did that. Buy yourself a pretty life. Yeah, it doesn't sound right. So it didn't bounce through the chain. All right. So we need to go here. Go to bus 14. This is why I don't like mixing in Logic too much, is because there's things like this where it's just so ridiculous that I have to do this shit. I'm going to create the track. So dumb that I have to do this. Okay, so now I should be able to bounce this in place, or I guess I'd have to print through it. Oh my God. Anyway, not even worth the hassle at this moment, but basically, I would just bounce this in place. And I could do this also by just making a fucking bounce and bringing it back in, you know. But I'm not going to do that right now. All I'm showing you is that I would take all of this and make it more manageable for me so I can get the routing right. Because these whispers going through this subgroup bus with these plugins and then going to another bus, like, it's it's just confusing for me, first of all, and how I like to work and my workflow. And then second of all, it could be causing some delay stuff that's going on when you stack other vocals. Like these vocals going through their own 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, they're all going through their own plugin chains, which I don't like that idea. I don't know why. Maybe that's OCD in me or something, but like, I hate that idea. I hate the fact that these are going through separate plugins to a bus. Like, I just want to put the plugins individually on here and have them all meet at a bus. So I can hear if there's any sort of weird delay or phasing going on right away. And I can't tell when they're all grouped up like this. All right, that's all I got for you guys. You guys got any questions at all? Let me know. I haven't read the chat. I'm sorry. My bad. There's tons of people in here, right? Hey, give a thumbs up if you guys got anything out of this. Please show some love. I'm trying to help more people out, okay? And if you guys need a mix done for 2026, I'm booking up now for 2026. So January is starting to book up. So hit me up if you want to mix and master. I can take care of you. Let me see. What else you got? It's hard to carve. Okay. You should multiply it by 1.41x. Not sure what you're talking about there, but yeah, cool. I'm going to look at this though. What do you got here? Yes, as far as I know, only FabFilter Pro Q has slightly different Q factor values. So if you have something like monitor effects and you're using Pro Q for it, you want to match it with a different EQ. Yeah. Yeah, it's different. Definitely sounds better to me. Okay, what else you got? What's a good master chain median plugin wise? Good master chain median plugin wise. Not really sure what that question is asking. Like, what's a good master chain median plugin wise? Median. I'm not understanding what that means. What you're asking the median here. Like an average master chain? Try to get more specific there with that question, and I'll try to answer it for you. All right, what do you got here? What's the value on the crossfades for those moves? No idea. Don't care. Doesn't matter to me. So the crossfades are just there so I don't get any pop, any sort of click or pop. I just want to get rid of it. I'm just like, when I'm doing a crossfade like that, as I'm editing and chunking things, I'm not looking for like a perfect value or anything. It's literally just so that I don't get a tick or a random click as I go to bounce the file. And then the client goes, hey, there's this weird click at 2 minutes and 14 seconds in. And I'm like, oh shit, how did I miss that? So it's almost like a habit for me, like crossfade, that's all I'm doing. Semblance. No idea what that means. Should you follow frequency ranges for each instrument? Yeah, that depends. I think you're asking like the fundamentals. Like you're asking like, should you pay attention to the fundamental of the instrument? Like where it's actually sitting naturally, the note that it's playing. In a good production like this, because the arrangement's nice, like, yeah, I'll probably, pay attention to the fundamentals. In a bad production and I'm like being hired to fix something, I don't give a fuck. Like I will take out fundamentals. I will take out whatever it needs to make sure that shit sounds good, because a lot of producers, quote unquote, because I use producer lightly because there's very few producers out there that I would actually call a music producer. I call a lot of people experimenters or hobbyists or, messing around with shit, but not very many producers out there. Just because you're making a song doesn't mean you're a producer. I digress on that. I won't get into that topic. That's a whole new conversation. But as far as like frequency ranges for each instrument, as you're making the song, as you're producing and composing it, that's your job. You should really pay attention to where's the bass sitting, where's the kick sitting, where's the vocal sitting, what range, what key are we in? Should we throw strings above it? Should we throw cellos and bass strings below it? Horns, you want to know where your horns lie. Your synths, like everything you're doing on the keys, where things speak. It's very important that you understand that, because what I was taught, and I was taught this like, I want to say like 20 years ago, the first rule of a great mix is great arrangement, right? And I'm talking about arrangement in the sense of arranging instruments, not arrangement in the sense of arranging the song, but the actual instruments, the orchestration of the instruments. So if you have that down, then you're like 60 to 70% there. You know, just a great arrangement and orchestration of the instruments. A great arrangement as well of the song, right? That keeps you interested. Intro gets you right away, hooks you in. The sound is interesting. There's a great melody. There's something that gets you to want to listen longer. There's an interesting effect that fits the song. It's not an effect just to be an effect. Like I remember just a few years ago where everything had like risers and reverse cymbals and shit, like as transition effects for everything. And it's like that shit, oh my God, that's terrible now, but that was the thing a little while ago. So yeah. Telephone preset is the best. Nice. On Fab. Yeah, I've messed with that for sure. I think it's usually too crazy for me. I'm going to stop using the built-in EQ. Yeah. Just grab the Pro Q, man. It's worth it. It just sounds better. I think, what is it? Kirox was saying something about how the slope is set on the Pro Q 3, 4. Here, I'll pull that up. Saying 0.71 slope and channel EQ is 1 point Q in Fab Filter. So this is like probably a big reason why it sounds different and, better to me. But yeah, you have to multiply it by 1.4. Yeah, I don't care about that. So like, this is one thing I don't do as an engineer. First of all, Kirox, I have a degree, a master's degree in sound. Okay. So I am very, very familiar with all of these things about audio, the quality and where the quality comes from and the tightness of the Q and the filter slopes and all that stuff. And analog filters, I'm very, very familiar with them and how they're designed and how they're built, and transformers and op amps and capsules and microphones and gold sputters and how thin the capsule is and how small it is and the small diaphragms. I've learned all that stuff over 2.5 decades of doing this and getting degrees in this. But I'll tell you this, after all of that learning, I don't give a shit about any of it. I care now about how things feel. And knowing what I know, I feel like if you get too involved in the technicals of all this stuff, like you're like, you got to multiply this and the Q and the quality and all this stuff. Like if you get too involved in that, I think you'll make worse music. You'll make music that sounds more sterile. You'll make mixes that don't connect with people. It just doesn't resonate with people. I think the mixing engineers that get too technical are the mixing engineers that have no place in the future. AI will take their jobs, no problem. The mixing engineers that are musical and know how to pull out emotion and know how to do things intuitively and are musical creatures, i.e. we're also artists, we're also producers, we're also songwriters and singers, We're very much in the creative space. All you want to do, you want to learn like the basic technicals of like what an EQ does, why you would use one, a compressor does, etc. And then you want to just like just forget it all and just move. Like, I guess I can do that because I know this stuff innately, but I'm not going to sit there and go like, oh, I need to A/B this Pro Q with the Logic EQ and make sure all the qualities are set perfectly the same and then get a perfect comparison. I just know that if I turn on Pro Q4 and I do this and this and that and do, that sounds way more musical. And there's not this weird like metallic ringing thing that happens with the Logic EQ. And that has everything to do, I think, with algorithms and I think with the design and the fact that Logic Pro just doesn't get very many updates. It's like their bastard child. Apple doesn't give a fuck about Logic Pro. You kidding me? The Logic Pro team's got to be like 2 guys. 2 dudes in India. They're just like, yeah, we got to do a Logic Pro update. You ready? Fucking hell. It's just like, doesn't matter to me at all. So, but thank you. I think it's important for the people that do want to know, so that's why I was pointing it out that Kirox said that. And I'm not hating on that comment or anything. I'm just telling you, like, they're not things that I pay attention to anymore. Like if I sweep the filters on this Trigon 6, I like them. They sound musical and cool. And I know how to get that sound really quickly of a Juno style pad or keys or whatever. Okay. Same thing on the Moog Muse. Like I'm like, I know what the ladder filter sounds like, and I know what to expect out of it and how to get something out of it. Like that's what I like about gear or plugins. What else you got? What else you got? I'm so confused. Okay, not to overpower the master. I don't know what you're saying. Using Sound ID Arc for your room correction. No. I have the Dutch and Dutch 8Cs, and they have built-in room correction with REW. So that's what I'm using. The room is pretty tuned. I have some weirdness in the low end, so I just corrected that. But also the Dutch and Dutch 8Cs, they calibrate to the wall. They have two 8-inch subs in the back, and they are cardioid speakers. So the cardioid has the grills on the side, and it rejects everything 100 hertz and above. Okay, so the woofer in the front is taking over at 100 hertz, and it's pushing all the way up through the crossover on the tweeter, which I think goes up to 20K or 22K or something like that. These are really great monitors. I'll never probably buy another pair of monitors. They're the favorites that I've ever used, and I've used a lot of them. But yeah, these kind of just work in varying rooms because of the cardioid pattern, but also because you set the calculation on the subs to lock in with the front wall. And then the REW software for the Dutch and Dutch C is built in. So you shoot the room, right? I would shoot the room. I trap up everything. Like I have this room tuned, but I can't get rid of certain frequencies. Obviously, it's just not a big enough room. So you're going to have problems in the low end usually. And then I'll correct that kind of stuff a little bit. But you really don't want to overcorrect your room at a certain point. You want to just let those things happen and then know where to like lean in or how it's going to translate because you just innately know, you know? And then I also will check on the VSX, right? I have the VSX here that I work with towards the end of the mix, like as I'm going into tweaking the master bus, and I'll just kind of bounce to that and I'll go, okay. Yeah, there's something a little weird in the 100 hertz, right? And then I also use these guys here, which I alternate between the 1770s and the 1990s. These are the biodynamics. I alternate between those two. The open backs sometimes are a little bit better for hearing the sub frequencies and listening to 200 hertz and below. But I really like the closed back 1770s. I think they sound really great. They're a little bit boosted at the top. They have some top boost, but I'm not listening to the top in those usually. I'm usually listening for the mids and the low end down, right? I trust my D&Ds a lot on the top end. The tweeters on these are phenomenal. Absolutely incredible. And, the only thing I'm using these headphones for, these different pairs, are to check mids and low end, but mainly low end. Hopefully that's helpful. Trying to see if there's anything here. Anything else you guys want to know or talk about here? What do we got? Top down or bottom up mixing. I tend to start on the buses, mix bus, then onto the tracks. Yeah, it depends on the track and it depends on the client. But I'd say I go back and forth. I used to do like top down mainly because I just did a lot of music for TV, commercials, movies. I don't know if I ever really tell my story much online or anything. Like I try not to be like braggadocious, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of people are like, yo, why would I listen to Bradley? He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's a YouTuber. And I'm like, fuck, man, I had Grammy nominations and platinum records before I ever made a video online. But I want to show you guys just some of the stuff that I've worked on, just so you guys can kind of understand where I got my start here in LA. A big part of it is movies, big movies, TV shows, a lot of commercials, but that's not going to show up on IMDb. So I worked on Thor Ragnarok pretty extensively, music producer, Lego Ninjago, the Lego movie, 22 Jump Street, Cannon Busters TV series that I did. It's a Netflix series. I did all the music for this. I got a Sony deal with this, a Sony soundtrack deal, Sony Music. This was Netflix anime. It's an original series, 12 episodes. Lego Ninjago, Abstract the Art of Design. This was up for an Emmy. So that's an Emmy nominated one. And I composed all the music for that with eight episodes of that. And that was with a couple other composers as well. Mark Mothersbaugh, mainly. Beatrice at Dinner, Pee-wee's Big Holiday, Exchange Student Zero. This was like a anime out of Australia. Really interesting. Alvin and the Chipmunks, The Road Chip, Forever. This was like a indie film, which was a really interesting one. It was about suicide. It was really kind of dark. Hotel Transylvania 2, Vacation Movie. I still get paid for this one. Pitch Perfect 2, 22 Jump Street, Island of Lemurs, Madagascar, the Lego Movie video game. The Lego Movie, that one did really well. Oscar nominated, Grammy nominated for Everything is Awesome. That's what the platinum record is on my door. Worked with all the guys from Lonely Island, Tegan and Sarah on that one. I produced all the vocals. I recorded everybody. I pretty much mixed everything here, but then handed it off for someone to finalize it. Las Vegas, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2, Short Game, and there's so many others that aren't obviously on here, and albums and records and independent stuff and blah, 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 and DDD, but yeah, just so you guys get a little bit of a sense of where I'm coming from. But yeah, lots and lots of movies, you know. I've done... The movies I've worked on have done over $4 billion in box office sales alone. So that's something I'm pretty proud of, you know. I produced a lot of music on a lot of those. I've written themes for movies. I've written a lot of music for TV. I've mixed and mastered stuff that you guys have heard, that you listen to every day. I've made sounds for your iPhone, ringtones. I've made 3 of them, you know. So there's things that you guys have no idea that you're hearing every day that I've worked on or I've made. So I'm just trying to like not posture and be like, yeah, I'm big time, bro. But I'm just letting you guys know, like, I come from almost 3 decades of doing this. You know, I started in music when I was 12 years old. I'm 42 now. I played guitar first. I played drums. I played in bands. I almost got signed by Columbia Records when I was 17, 18 in a post-hardcore screamo band. You know, I've written so many songs and so many compositions, Lexus commercials, did a Dodge commercial that went to the Cannes Film Festival, you know, just all sorts of credits and stuff that you've seen and you've heard. And I write my own music and I put out my own records, you know. I stay at around 100,000 to 200,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. Those are all songs that I produce completely on my own. I hire musicians a lot of the times to play parts I don't want to play or I can't play. But I mix and master all of that. I produce all of that, you know. So, yeah, man, I've had a very long career. I got Telly Awards for commercials. Yeah, all sorts of shit, man. I'm not here to brag about any of this. I'm just letting you know that when I'm talking about this stuff, I'm not coming from a place of like, yeah, dude, I make YouTube videos and I'm trying to make it in the music industry. Like, I've been in the music industry. I've been doing this for a very long time. So I just like doing this because I like helping people. And honestly, like the independent artist stuff, like I really like working on it. Like Maudlin Strangers, they're a dope band. And like these indie artists are dope. Like I really like them. It's fun. It's fun shit, you know? Like, I just like have fun with it. And putting out my own music is very rewarding. But anyway, you guys got any other questions? Here we go. I was working on Thor Ragnarok. It was great. I worked with Mark Mothersbaugh on it. And then I actually quit working with him and on that movie, like halfway through the movie, because I wasn't getting paid enough, to be honest with you. That's when I started my own company. But that's just real talk right there. You guys don't want to hear about that. MM500 headphones. Nice. Yeah, 22 Jump Street was really fun to work on. I worked on every single piece of music on that movie. You know, whether I was like programming and like doing synth parts on something, drums, mixing something, producing something. That was a really fun movie to work on. Just funny as fuck too. Like when you see these movies in their like director's cut, like first edits, they cut out so many good jokes. They can't have all the jokes in there and all the scenes. And there were some really, really funny scenes that got cut out of that. Same with Thor Ragnarok. Yeah, childhood movies. Nice. That's what's up. What else you got? What else you got? Any major takeaways methodology wise, given your extensive work in that level of the industry? I mean, I don't really know. You have to be specific because there's so many things I've done, vocal production, mixing and mastering, producing records, recording. Like I've recorded almost every instrument you could think of. Like, oh, you ever record a squeeze box? Yeah. A professional whistler? Yep. String quartets, octets, drum kits, choirs, whoever, what else? You got to get specific with your questions. Yeah, the credits are cool, but people don't give a shit about credits. People give a shit about what your last project is, like what you just did. Oh, nice, dude. Congrats. Any advice to start landing some jobs like that? Yeah, start hitting up all your friends and connecting with people and talking to people, because people are where everything is. You don't get opportunities because you're good at something or you went to school for it. You get opportunities because people like you and you know somebody that has an opportunity for you. That's it. That's plain and simple. You need to connect with people. When I was graduating from engineering school, because I went to Expression Digital Arts, which is in the Bay Area. It's in Emeryville. It's now SAE. But when I was graduating with a bachelor's degree in sound arts, $100,000 later, right? I was like on the phones, bro, like every day. And that's back when we didn't have iPhones. I think I had a flip phone at that point. But I was just calling like everyone I knew. And I don't think Instagram was even that big. Like Facebook, everyone was on Facebook at the time. And I remember I was like on Facebook and I saw a friend of mine that I had worked with at PF Chang's as a server way back in the days in Oregon, that she was working at this place called Mutato Musica. And I was like, music? My ears just like perked up. And I hit her up right away and I was like, yo, what is this Mutato Musica? I'm graduating with a degree in sound and I know all this audio engineering, production stuff. And do you have any internship positions? Could you get me in the door, etc.? Like, you just gotta fucking hustle, man. It's music and sound and audio and all that stuff. Like, this is a entrepreneurial endeavor. You have to pick yourself up. You got to do your shit. You got to hit up people. You got to be good at sales. You got to market yourself. Even when people are hating on you and they're like, oh, you shill out plugins, bro. You got to be like, fuck yeah, I do. Get some plugins, bro. Get on my level. You got to be proud of what you do. And you got to get really good at just being an entrepreneur and connecting with people, like that's very, very important. And coming from an honest, like a place of really wanting to help people. Like, I don't do these live streams, because I want anything from you guys. I do it because I want to help you guys. Like, I want to show you guys some cool stuff. It's exciting, there's 44 people watching and I get to show you guys like this new song that's not even out. And like that I have to get the artist's approval for. Like, hey, Jake, you cool if I live stream the mix, some of it, whatever. He's like, fuck yeah, go for it, dude. And you guys maybe get put onto a new favorite band or something, you should definitely check out Maudlin Strangers. They're fucking awesome. But yeah, that's kind of the idea. You want to come from like a place where do you add value? Like, how can you help people? Don't think about it as like, oh, how do I get a job? What should I do, to get a job? Like, don't think of that. Think of like, who can you help? Who needs your help? Who needs someone that's going to be like really cool, easy to work with, follows directions, like gets shit done, doesn't ask a shit ton of questions and bug people. Most people don't care that you got engineering skills. They care that like you show up, you do the job, you turn it around, it sounds fucking awesome. And you go through revision rounds and you're not like, dude, I think it sounds great. You don't argue with people. Like, you're looking out for people and you're trying to like help people out, help them realize their vision, especially as an engineer, because you're playing a role in a part of a team. But anyway, that's kind of how I look at it now. When I was your age, though, and when I was just getting out of school, I was desperate too. I was like, fuck, I need a job. So I understand. I get where you're coming from. What would suggest to get the career rolling into the industry? Make a lot of dope shit, put it out there, and make sure the right people hear it. And that means get used to making content, marketing, and sales, and before you're good at marketing and sales and all that stuff, get really good at making dope shit. Like whether it's mixing and mastering or production or recording, or you're an artist and you're putting out music, like put out dope shit. That's number one. Before that, don't even ask that question. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're not doing dope work and you're not awesome to work with and you don't make really great shit that everybody goes, that's fucking awesome, then you go back to that step. That's where you start. You put your head down, you get in the studio, you get on these live streams, you ask questions about the process, you get better at making great shit. That's all that anyone cares about in this industry. 28, yeah. Fuck yeah, that's what's up. Thank you. That's what I'm saying. I feel 28. I feel better now at 42 than I did at 28, so that's saying something. Just keep earworming Summer Rain. Yes, I love Summer Rain, dude. I try to push that, but I think it's bad timing. Like putting out a song called Summer Rain in dead ass winter. Just didn't stick, you know? I haven't been promoting it because obviously I got other things going on, but yeah, I really fuck with that song and I spent a lot of time on it. So I'll probably keep pushing it, but hopefully hopefully it'll get there. You know what I'm saying? He does look great for his age. Thank you. Appreciate that. You guys making me feel good. I like that. That's why I live stream, because you guys make me feel good. Yeah, the DTs are great, man. Like, I really do like the biodynamic stuff. Really good. Hey, you're welcome, man. You're welcome. I'm here to help. Let me see. No, I get this point. Biodynamic doesn't suit everybody. And honestly, I use them as like a secondary pair of headphones because they're almost too shiny for me and like almost scooped in the mids. So I definitely check the highs and the lows on them, but the mids, I don't really like that much. I like the ATH M50Xs, like the old school ones in the mid-range. I really like those. I like the way I say gold clip in that video about the plugin. Can you say it again for us? I thought gold clip. What? I'm not sure what you're saying. I don't know, man. I don't know what you're saying, man. Yeah, gold clip is fucking awesome. That's why. See, this is the thing. Like, people get mad at me for, not that I care that much, but sometimes it bugs me. People get mad at me for making content about plugins. Like, oh, he's just selling plugins, bro. And I'm like, yeah, I sell plugins to my friends too. Like when I find something that works, I'm like, yo, have you tried this? This is super dope. It's a big fucking deal if I'm online doing the same thing. Like, get over it. And plus, that's why I do it. Like, you got it. You're hyped on it. Your mixes sound better. You got a product that you like. It's fucking it. If I got a coffee from a coffee shop and I was like, that's a good coffee, I tell my friends about it. If I had a great meal at a restaurant, I tell them about it, regardless of whether that restaurant's paying me or not to say anything. I don't give a fuck. And if you pay me to say it, then fucking hell, I might try to like teach people something within the video, you know? And now that I got a budget, I could get a video editor involved and I can produce a video that's better. You know, that's it. That's all it's doing. What's your favorite plugin mastering compressors? Ooh, that is a good question. Number one, Manly the variable mu from UAD. That's probably the most consistent on my master bus. Mastering compressor. I do like the UAD Capital mastering compressor. That one is sick. I use that a lot for my indie soul kind of stuff, soul funk kind of stuff. Love it. That Motown sound. Very, very good for that. What else? What else do I use on the master bus? Compressor wise. Not very many. I think those are kind of my two. If I'm going for a more clean compression, not totally clean, but I want like a VCA style, I'll go with the BX Digital Townhouse, the SSLG series comp that they have. Those are my favorites. No bullshit. Nah, dude. If you use a subwoofer with your Dutch and Dutch, it's because you're mixing a lot of big score or trailer stuff, but you don't need a subwoofer for the Dutch and Dutch. No fucking way. Here, let's show you Dutch and Dutch 8C. So I don't have the studio edition. I have the white ones, the white on white, which are, I believe they're a little different. Differente. Okay, so here you go. 8C hi-fi, baby. Let's go to these are the ones I got right here. So I have the white on white though. They're like white panels on the sides here, which are dope. You know what I'm saying? All right, so here we go. Low frequency, 8-inch high excursion, 2 subwoofers, 8-inch mid-range driver, 1-inch alloy dome tweeter. Here we go. 30 hertz to 20, plus or minus 1 dB. So you hear all the way down to 20 hertz. Like if you're sweeping an EQ, you're like, yeah, you can hear the 20 hertz. Just, they're very powerful. Like 500 watts of the low frequency, 250 at mid, and 250 on the tweeter. 26 kilograms, bro. Yeah, they're pretty serious. So yeah, no need for a subwoofer. Not for these. You do a subwoofer and you're blowing your fucking room out, and then you're gonna need a big ass, commercial room and all that shit. Don't need it. What else you got? What else you got? Hey, love you too, man. I don't know you. I've never seen you, but I love you. Nah. Mad love. I love love. I love love. Aw, shit. Tone Blair in the house. You like that? We got to give you a big welcome. Welcome to the end of the stream. We've been 2 hours in. Yeah, no, I totally. And I get that. I talk a lot. My wife is super quiet, That's why we work together, is because we're yin and yang. So I get it. I know quiet people. Appreciate that, bro. Appreciate it. I try. I'm just trying to, be myself and share what I know. What are your opinions of the way major releases are sounding nowadays, and maybe how that may change in the future? Well, that's a good question, actually. So I think it depends on what you're talking about when you say major releases. If we're talking major releases like radio, top 40 type stuff, we're talking about like country pop, like country pop, pop rock, like pop music in general, There's some hip hop in there, but very little. And I think hip hop and trap is like even shifting quite a bit because it's just not it's not getting any love, you know what I mean? People are tired of hearing Drake wannabes and Kanye West wannabes and Migos flows wannabes, and everybody kind of sounds the same in rap, and guess what, people got tired of it. But I'd say that right now it depends. Like if you're talking about sound, how they sound and the mixes and the sonics, you have to be so competitive nowadays more than you've ever been. So I'd put it into I'd use this as a metaphor and maybe a parallel. I grew up skateboarding, right? Like when I was like 12 years old, I got into skateboarding, and I skateboarded through my teenage years and shit. I probably stopped skateboarding at like 17 or something. So I skateboarded for, a good like 5 to 10 years. I don't remember, but I got really into it, And it was like a cultural thing, and like, I kick flipped a 5 stair one time, and I thought that was a big deal. And then like nowadays, if you're not like 360 kick flipping a 20 stair, you ain't shit in skateboarding. And they got all these new tricks and all these new techniques and everything that are like insane. Like you're not going to be a pro skater nowadays by just doing what pro skaters did back when I started skating, back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Same thing with music. Like if your music doesn't sound fucking awesome, and I'm talking like genre specific as well, because you can make bedroom pop and your mixes could just sound kind of shitty, and kind of warbly and like lo-fi. And if it's not locked in with the sonic quality of what that sound is and that song, it's like people aren't listening to it. If it sounds demo-y and it's just not good, and you're trying to make, pop country, and it's like you got too much auto-tune on and the mix is like, like nobody's listening to it. Sorry. Like, you're not even competing. You're not even in the room. You're not even in the conversation. You're not even on the same planet. You know what I mean? Your shit's just getting shadow banned on Spotify. Nobody's listening to it. The algorithm's not pushing it out. So yeah, sonically, the sound of your music has to be really great nowadays. You have to compete. It's why, like, everybody's trying to learn to mix and master and produce and do everything on their own. But the truth is, you'd get so much further if you just hire people. You get help, you know? Have someone, like, if you're an artist especially, you need to be able to release really good shit. Like, I've worked with artists in my artist development program where it's like, I pretty much have to drop them because they just don't make good enough music. You know, it's like, I can't help you market, and I can't produce something great with an artist that doesn't want to grow and take direction and learn how to make better records. They all want to, like, if you find an artist that just wants to do the same thing they've always done and they're expecting like they're going to market their way to success in music, it's impossible nowadays. It's fucking impossible. You're going to waste so much money. Oh, I'm running ads and I'm getting on playlists, and bro, you're getting on playlists that nobody's listening to. Like, that are also running ads to like random people and trying to get the conversions down to India and random, like, just, you're not getting heard. And the Spotify algorithm is not going to treat you right because your shit doesn't sound good. You know, if your songs are just like cookie cutter, the mixes are shit, like, it's going to be really, really, really hard for you to break in. Like, damn near impossible nowadays, especially going into 2026. So what I would say is there's going to be a shift, of course, because of AI and stuff. There's going to be a shift towards people wanting to hear more human elements and more kind of fuck ups in the music. But that doesn't mean it won't still be great musicianship. You know, a great example of that is the Justin Bieber stuff he did, with that indie producer and writer and artist. I forget his name off the top, but it was kind of like, has its own vibe and it's kind of sloppy, but it's still a different pocket and it's still very musical, you know, and the mixes are still very good for what it's trying to do. So you have to be really honed in on stylistic choices and sonic qualities. That doesn't mean like super shiny and, you know, super big. Like, that's not what I'm saying. It's really a creative process with the mixing now. You have to work with mixing engineers like myself, pat myself on the back, you know, that are creative and still know the technical stuff and can be a producer in a sense. Like, you want collaborative mixing engineers now and mastering engineers. You want people that aren't just, I mix and master. Like, that's not what I do. I mean, I'm making a record, I'm producing it. I'm a co-producer. I'm working on that record to where it's shaping how people are going to consume it. You know, perfect example of that is just going to Spotify. The only reason like Maudlin Strangers wants to hire me again, you know, like, oh man, we really like your stuff and how you mix our records. Like, here's the proof. Like, you just have to go to their page and 120,000 monthly listeners. Don't worry, I'm fine. That's a song that I mixed and mastered for them. This is like miles ahead of all their other songs. They didn't market this more. They didn't promote it more. It's just a better song. It's a better mix and master all the way around. It's a better everything, right? And that's what you're competing with. And that just crossed 1 million streams, like 1,188,000. And then Under My Skin, I mixed and mastered this one. This is number 3 on their popular chart. And then I mixed and mastered I'm Not in the Right Mind. This is number 4 on their chart, right? So 3 out of the 5 songs on their top most popular songs are songs that I mixed and mastered, which is like co-production. It's like getting the sonic qualities there. It's like making something exciting and interesting and unique to them and to their audience and to their fan base, and getting them on a lot more playlists because of it. Let's see. I also did End of Beginning, mixed and mastered that one. So I haven't mixed and mastered much for them, but every song that I've mixed and mastered for them is in their top 10. So that's pretty cool. And their biggest song is one I did. So, and that helped them grow. They were, I think, like this time last year, they were probably like 40,000 monthly listeners. So yeah, this is like a compounding effort. You know, you invest in the right things and you're going to get the right results. And you work with the right people, you're going to get there a lot quicker. It's just the way it works. That's how I would put it. Anyway, what else? Yo, that means a lot, man. I really do try to feed the YouTube channel as much as possible. Do live streams with you guys, put out good content. Even when I'm doing plugin content where, you know, a vendor might sponsor the video, which really means they're just paying for me to make the content. Like, I don't make any money off that. Like, I don't think a lot of people get that. They think, oh, a plugin company paid you to make a video? You're like, yeah, and then I paid a bunch of people to help me make the video. And I put a bunch of time in, and then I locked out my studio for a day or two to cut everything. And yeah, there's just a lot of work that goes into it, producing a YouTube video. You'd be blown away at how much it costs. But yeah, I try my hardest to make the content really helpful. You know, not just check out this plugin, you should buy it, it's awesome. You know, it's like, no, here's how you can use it. Here's what I would do with it. Here's some, you know, ways that I would use this plugin and why it would be cool to do whatever I'm going to be doing with it. But hopefully showing techniques that you guys can use. And just so you know, every time a vendor hits me up and wants me to make a piece of content on their product, content on their plugins, their gear, their hardware, whatever, I have to hear it, I have to use it, I have to see it, I have to play with it for at least a few days before I even make a decision on whether I want to, you know, showcase it or make a video on it. And if it's something I'll use or I already use, then yeah, then we can make a deal. But yeah, I don't just do stuff to do stuff. You know, and then I also make sure with that plugin vendor or that company that they're okay with me making whatever I want to make, and then making sure that it's a tutorial, like it's something that adds value. You know, I'm not like making an ad is basically what I'm trying not to do. So, because it diminishes my brand. It makes me look like an asshole, you know? And there's so many YouTubers out there that look like assholes, like slinging plugins, and they don't have any credits. They've never done anything. Have you ever tried a sub pack? No, I think that would be more of a fun thing for me. Maybe not necessarily like a reference, but it would be fun. I think I'd be like, fuck, this is sick. You know, maybe we'll watch a movie with it on. Yeah, you see the AC now, right? You get in the game. ACs are amazing, bro. Like, if you put some of these in your studio and you set them up properly and you just started working on them, you would never, ever go to any other monitor ever again. I say that from the heart. I would never make a dime off of selling 8Cs to anybody. Yeah, sometimes I use spectrogram. I use like Isotope Insight. I use SPL Hawkeye. Those are both great. Love it. But that's towards the end. That's towards like when I'm really dialing in the master. Oh, fuck, dude. I haven't used this. Is this the tape machine? I got offered to make a piece of content on that tape machine, but I told them like, I can't. Like, I don't know that plugin. I've never used it. But I definitely want to try it out. So they didn't even send me an NFR. Like, they didn't send me the plugin to try out. So I was like, what do you want me to do, man? You know, I can't even hear it. Can't listen to it. Like, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to make a piece of content off of it, regardless of what you're going to pay me. You know, I got to hear it. I got to see if I like it. Are you doing another listening to your song thing soon? Oh yeah, very soon. I'm going to try to do it on Monday or Tuesday. So maybe even tomorrow. Who knows? But yeah, keep an eye on the email, man. If you're not on the email list, get on it, because that's where I'm going to send that stuff. Yeah, dude. Crazy shit. Like, give me a break, dude. Like, I grew up with like Jamie Thomas, like doing big gaps and shit. And nowadays, like, kids are like, yeah, you got to do the big gap, but then you also got to do a fucking crazy flip trick. You know what I mean? From 7 luffs and higher, I hit 9 luffs and it starts distorting even out of clipping compressing. What's the secret? You got to chew it down, man. I think you're trying to get too much out of your master bus. It's in the mix. It's always in the mix. That's the best way I could put it. It's in the mix. It's not in the master bus, bro. You're trying to get from to 7 luffs, -7. You're trying to go, -6, -5. It's not in the master bus. It's in the mix. That's what's up. Scotland in the house. Here's a fucking Scottish little. Hey, it's a fucking Scottish lad. Is that Scottish? I don't know. All I know is the Scottish thing from like Fat Bastard from I hope that's not coming off as like mean or anything. I love Scottish people. I have a lot of Scottish blood, actually. My grandpa was like 50% Scottish. So the Scots are in my blood. Scottish and Finnish. But I also wanted to ask, how can I improve at arranging my tracks? They're good, but I don't know how to make them dynamic like a K-pop. Oh, fuck. If you're trying to make K-pop records, bro, like, that's a damn task and a half. You got to study that shit, bro. Download some K-pop, bring it in, right? Bring it into your DAW. Use like in Logic, you can use stem splitter, and then start to copy those so you can like start to learn arrangement. That's how I would do it. Yeah, McGee, nailed it. Nice. Nice. Dang, near mix and mastered their whole top 5. That's right, dude. That's how we do it. All right, you guys. I really appreciate you coming through. I got to get out of here. I got to get some dinner. I'm fucking hungry. And I'll see you guys next time. Share the show. You know, if you want to mix and master, hit me up. You know where to find me. You can drop a comment, whatever. I'll leave a link in the description here so you guys can book a mix and master. Again, I'm booking up very fast and in the future. So if you book a mix and master right now, you're going to get your mix and master done in January. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's just going to keep going out. So if you need a song done, book it now. Like, just don't delay. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to save up my money or whatever. Like, fucking, I won't have time for your mix and master that you need turned around in 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, book it. And if you want to get in on some artist development, like anybody here that's like a super serious artist that has some dope music and you guys are like, dude, I got some dope shit, but you want me to like help you with production, you know, executive production, mixing and mastering, marketing and rollout strategy, social media strategy, pitching your songs for sync licensing placements, hit me up. That's a serious commitment though. Like, that's going to be like, you're talking $4,000 or more. You know what I'm saying? So don't come to me with some bullshit, you know, some like, yeah, I'm making songs with AI. Like, I just will automatically disregard everything you're talking about. But if you send me your Spotify and you got like 3 bangers on there and you're like ready to take your career up and you want to pitch more for sync and you want to get some placements in 2026 and you want to work on your social media strategy and you want me to help you producing, you want me to vocally coach you, vocally produce you, mix and master your final records, you know, roll out shit with you every month. Like, if you want to do something like that, hit me up. Like, I'm taking on like 2 more people. Okay. And it's December 13th. So I got to like really lock in 2 people by the end of the year. So hit me up. Again, you know where to find me, all right? Hope you guys have a great night. Hit the thumbs up, you know, show some love. Show some love so the video gets pushed out and more people are like, man, I learned a lot from that. That's what I'm trying to do here. See you guys later. Happy Saturday, by the way. Go have a beer for me or something.